All right, I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, don't argue with this. I don't know what this is about, but I'm willing to bet it probably has something to do with finance. So let's hit it.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today. Johnny is in Cincinnati. Hey, Johnny, what's up?
Hey, Dave. Not much. Quick question for you about public service loan forgiveness and my current student debt.
Oh, this is wonderful. Right up my alley. Woohoo. All right, let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Get your tea. Get your tea.
Situation and mortgage situation. So I have 96 payments on this public service loan forgiveness.
And you have, oh, he hasn't, okay, we're going to find out, does he have 96 left or he's paid 96? Let's find out.
With the goal being 120 for the program. I kind of had that planned since I graduated in 2014.
Okay, so I think he's got 96 payments made with 100 out of the 120. Okay.
Didn't think too much about it. Had a bunch of life changes take place, and now I have almost enough to pay off the student loans, and I'm considering paying those off now instead of waiting for the public service loan forgiveness.
Well, yeah.
Whoa. He's got 24 payments left. If I'm understanding this correctly, he says he has 96, which means he would have 24 payments left, which would be about 2.5 years.
Yeah. Did you say you graduated in 2014?
Correct.
So this is 9, almost 10 years of just, well, maybe they'll do it. 10 years of your life.
No. Now, I'm going to try to figure out based on what I know, which isn't much on this call. If he is in a public service job, then yeah, it's going to be a 10-year wait. Okay, mine was about 12 years, but that's because, I took some forbearance and there were a couple of years there was no, the program didn't exist, yada, yada. But yeah, I mean, it's 10 years. He's got to do the 120. So this would mean he has 24 payments left, assuming he's in a public service job. He said it's PSLF, so he's got a tax-free public service loan forgiveness coming up. And if his form says 96, he's got 24 payments left.
Yeah, pay him off.
Yeah.
Not to mention...
Johnny, so here's the situation. That so far, 97% of the loans that followed the student loan forgiveness program have not been forgiven. They've only forgiven less than 3%.
Which is true. Okay. Mine was forgiven for 110, August 2022. But if he has... this is what I would tell him. And I know I'm kind of jumping the gun here on hearing more about his call, but you know how passionate I am about this, okay? If he has documentation from the federal government, from the Department of Education that says he has made 96 payments, he has documentation, they've accepted 96. Not he's thinking he's got 96, but hasn't done anything to find out if he's actually got that. If he actually has hard paperwork that says, yeah, you've made 96 payments, you have 24 payments left, do not pay off the student loan, stay on course, and let the PSLF program do its job.
And so if you have a 97% chance that your plan's not going to work.
Okay, the reason so many plans did not work, and most of us that have been involved with PSLF know this, is when the program was rolled out, it was horrible the way the rule structure was set up. I mean, I was penalized because I paid my loans early. Yeah, I was penalized, okay, because I paid my loans early. Now, today, in 2023, they have actually worked out things like that. There is now a rule and procedure book that allows you to pay your loans early up to the time that you renew. So if you're on PSLF, okay, Public Service Loan Forgiveness, and let's just keep it easy. Let's say January is when you renew all your stuff. They figure out how much you're going to pay. You've turned in your tax return. So let's just say it's in January. I mean, it could be in any month of the year, but we'll just keep January for simplicity, okay? And let's say you've got your new rate. This is the way the new loan structure is set up, because trust me, I follow it like a hawk. All right. So let's say it's July and you want to make overpayments. When I was making overpayments before the PSLF waiver program came, I was penalized for it. I had no idea. There was no rule book that even discussed overpayments, as far as I know, because I was penalized and told those payments didn't count. Now you can make those payments early up to your next renewal. So if you wanted to make early payments for, let's say you want to pay July through December, you could, because January is when your account comes up for renewal, but you would not be able to pay past January. In other words, you cannot pay past the date that they have scheduled you for renewal, because they've looked at your income and they've determined that's how much you owe for that 12-month period. You can't pay into a new 12-month period, okay, and overpay that. If you do that, then those payments don't count. All right, so I hope that was clear the way I explained that, okay? But a lot of things that did not exist at the time until the PSLF waiver came along, there was just lots and lots of confusion. And yeah, a lot of people did not get their loan forgiven because they were in the wrong job, they were on the wrong program. I mean, it was an absolute mess, an absolute mess.
The reason I was
Son, I just told you, 3 out of 100. Don't argue with this.
I think he should have let him finish what he had to say. Because when you are talking tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars, I hope Ramsey will let him. I know, and I love the Ramsey show. Honestly, if I didn't like the Ramsey show, there's no way I could do reaction videos to it, because I listened to so many episodes. But I've been following Ramsey for well over a decade. Well over a decade. Long before he even had this group of hosts and stuff. But no, he should have let him finish what he had to say, because you're talking tens and tens of thousands of dollars on the line.
3 out of 100 it works for. You actually think you're one of those?
Yes. He is. If he is a public service loan forgiveness employee, he's working federal, state, city job. He has documentation from the federal government that he has made 96 qualifying payments. Yeah, he's one of those. He's got to finish the last 2.5 years. Now, is it different if he's never gotten a letter that says he's in a qualifying job with qualifying payments and he's made 96 payments? Yeah, now you're talking, that changes things. But here's the way I look at it. This is worth tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. What's it worth your time? If somebody says to you, hey, I can save you $85,000, you're going to peel through the paperwork. I'm not saying, and here's the interesting part, guys, the paperwork isn't that hard. It's really not. I've helped plenty of people. I've helped coworkers through the paperwork. And one of my good friends this last summer got hers forgiven just a few months ago, one of my coworkers, and I helped her navigate that. The navigation of the paperwork, people don't think it's this big complicated thing. It's not. What makes it difficult is you have to be willing to stay on top of it. Are you good? And especially now, if you're trying to call in, are you good at being able to follow up? If you think this is just, well, I'm just going to sit in my paperwork and call it a day, that's not the way it works. You may have to sit on hold for 45 minutes, especially now. Okay? You may have to make more than one call. You're going to have to make sure that the paperwork is followed up on. But don't think the paperwork, believe it or not, is not the labyrinth. That's not where the complicated part is. It's not the paperwork. The paperwork's like 2 freaking pages. The complicated part is the follow-up. Did you turn in your tax return? Did you send an employer verification to every single employer? Did you make sure those employers sent it back to you? Did you take that paperwork? Did you forward it to FedGov or Fed Loan, or whomever your loan carrier is, Mohila for some people at this point, okay? It's not that the filling, please don't get it wrong. The filling out the paperwork to me is a piece of cake. That was the easy part. It was waiting to get responses from the federal government and just having to really stay on top of it.
Pay off your loan.
Don't pay off your loan if you have 96 qualified payments. It is in writing and you have 24 payments left to go. Keep that money.
Right.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm thinking.
What do you owe? What do you owe on it?
86,000.
I'd write a check tomorrow, hon.
Jeez.
I'd be free. Listen,
Well, at least it doesn't look like 160,000. But in this case, 86,000, yeah. Typically, the people on PSLF, we aren't holding, I speak collectively as we, because, I'm PSLF, we aren't holding on to 20, 30,000. These are loans, I'm honestly, oftentimes, these are loans hitting 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 150,000. Because the people on PSLF are typically holding very large loans. We're not going after the $10,000, $20,000 bills, unfortunately. These are typically much higher. I hope he lets the guy talk and say what job he's in, how long he's been in it, and would he inquire about the paperwork. I know Mr. Ramsey is very much against PSLF. I don't know if he's so much against PSLF itself as it is the incredible rejection rate that it's had. Okay, and I'll be honest, PSLF has been nothing to brag about. Absolutely nothing to brag about. But it's getting better. It's gotten better. But you have to do your due diligence.
you don't want to sit around and wait on the government to make your life awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't. And I did not sit and wait on the government either. So I chased the government down. It's like, here's my paperwork. I'm chasing you down.
Because you're going to be waiting the rest of your life and you're going to be disappointed.
No. You're not going to wait the rest of your life. Okay? You're going to have to stay on top of it. You're eventually going to get a letter that tells you how many qualifying payments you've made.
The secret to happiness is low expectations.
The secret to happiness is being able to follow through on whatever it is you absolutely want. I wanted loan forgiveness. To me, my retirement was going to be highly dependent on whether or not I could get this debt cleared before I retired. I needed at least a decade to be able to aggressively save cash for retirement. To me, it was, that's not life or death, but it sure as heck was good retirement to better retirement versus better retirement.
Lower your expectations of what the government's going to do for you, because it all amounts to nothing.
10 years making minimum payments. He could have been done 7 years ago.
Well,
here's the thing. He could pay it off, sure, but what could he do with that 86,000 if he didn't pay it off? Excuse me. What could he do with that? He has to decide. And some people will say, well, he's got a moral duty. I stay out of all that moral duty stuff, okay? Because if we're going to talk moral duty, I don't have children, and I have paid for more children's services, I'm sure, through my taxes than anyone should, okay? So I don't sit and remind people, I don't have kids, and I'm paying taxes for schools and yada, 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 okay? Pretty much if it involves kids and education and tax increases for it, I vote for it. Because I'm just really passionate about that, okay? To me, it's not about keeping score. But I think this really rides on, has he worked to get a letter? And the thing is Dave is, I won't say he's jaded about it, but he's so anti student loan forgiveness because of the way the program has worked. He won't give it a chance for someone like me to step in and go, well, wait, let's see what we can do here.
He's got the money now.
Yeah.
So today, either you're going to be sitting there 96 payments from now disappointed because you're not one of the 3 out of 100 that actually gets the forgiveness, or you will have spent the last 10 years building wealth because you got rid of this crap by writing the check today. So
there's nothing wrong. If he's got the check and he wants to just wipe it out, go for it. But like I said, I'm kind of confused. Has he completed 96 payments, or does he have 96 payments left? Okay, because that can make a difference. And it also makes a difference on, is this his career? Is this something, is he in a public service job that he wants as a career? The
student loan forgiveness program is a scam. It's a lie.
It's not a scam. It's not a lie. Okay. It has its problems. I think we need to distinguish that. And I've heard Ramsey say it a lot. It's a scam. It's a scam. Okay. It has been scammy-like. Okay. It's definitely been scammy-like. But again, It's starting to smooth itself out, at least from what I can tell.
Anything that 97% of the people don't get what was promised to them is called a scam.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
I can't totally argue that, but the part that I can argue is, okay, but did those 96, 97% qualify based on the qualification rules at the time? If you spend 10 years in a, a nonprofit job, but then you find out in year 8 that that position you're in does not qualify and you did not check, is that a scam? Okay. I think what makes it seem scammy is in a lot of student loan forgiveness programs, unfortunately, they did not, the companies were not upfront with what you had to do. In other words, people didn't know what to ask because the program was new and they didn't even know it existed. I didn't know it existed. That's why I went on forbearance for practically 2 years till somebody finally said, hey, why don't you go on this loan forgiveness program for 120 payments? You don't know what you don't know. And the student loan companies made darn sure that the public, when they called in for forbearance, they made darn sure the public didn't know that, hey, you know what? You don't need to go on forbearance. And if you're a public service employee, we can take that income, we can take your monthly payment and we can drop it way, way, way down. Oh, all right, we can do that. And that keeps you on track each month for your 120 credits that you need, your 120 payments, versus putting you on forbearance and the clock freezes and you don't get any credit for while you're on forbearance. Because remember, to get public service, you have to be on the job full time and you have to be making student loan payments. So when I had Fed loan, they were thrilled. I think it was actually Navient at the time, which was the division of Sallie Mae. When I had Navient, they were thrilled to put me on forbearance for 2 years. Nobody freaking told me that there was a income-based program, and apparently the income-based program had just been rolled out. So that's what makes it scammy, is because they weren't upfront with telling people. They knew the public didn't know. Then, like me, we didn't even know it existed.
It's a government lie. Okay? Another one, just like the Biden student loan forgiveness was. It was a lie. He knew it was a lie. He knew the Supreme Court was going to throw it out, and he played it at the midterms anyway just to get people to vote for Democrats.
Yeah,
I'm going to actually say I have to agree with that. I had a friend of mine, a gal pal of mine, asked, why did they roll this all out, okay? And I consider myself, I guess if you're going to go political, I'm a moderate Democrat. I'm not extreme left, okay? I'm moderate, all right? But I remember explaining to one of my girlfriends, I said, you know, I knew it wasn't ever going to pass. The, what was it, the student loan forgiveness, I knew the Supreme Court would say no. And if you look at my earlier videos, I was spot on. They said no. And I think part of the reason they rolled it out before the Supreme Court had made a decision is it was to get everybody all excited and pumped up. And in this case, I actually agree with Ramsey, okay? Instead of the Biden administration saying, well, hold up, let's see what the Supreme Court says first before we set out web pages and have people sign up and get people all excited. Right now, we're just going to talk about the legal challenge and that's it. But instead, they got everybody, you know, excited, rolling stuff out, web pages ready to go. And I think part of that was done to perhaps try to influence the Supreme Court to have them go, hey, look, you know, all these, you know, we've already rolled it out. It's already out there. You know, we might as well just let it go. But it didn't work that way. I don't really deal with politics when it comes to student loans, but looking at this particular situation, yeah, I can't totally disagree with them. I mean, even I, as a layperson, okay, if you look at some of my earlier videos that I did where I talk about it, I said it's not going to pass. I was right. So I think it was kind of obvious it wasn't going to pass.
It was a lie. We told you when he did it, it was a lie. I've told you this was a lie. So it's a lie.
And the only
Don't fall for another government lie, Democrat or Republican. You can't wait on those morons to fix your life.
Yeah. And
I sometimes wish Ramsey would be more, what is it? I wish sometimes he would state what he really thinks about things. I think he said it was a lie.
And the thing is, you're hearing a lot more about it lately. You know, you'll see somebody pop up, my student loan got forgiven. And they're doing these, it's a little pop-up forgivenesses to try to keep people hanging on the line, right?
It's a lie.
Yeah.
When you actually look at the statistical evidence of the number of people who got rid of their student loans because of the government doing anything, it's almost zero, you guys.
Yeah. Less than
It's almost
3%.
zero. Like, you know, one of my buddies said the other day, Biden forgave $9 billion.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to expand this out. Okay, that's the end of the video for those who aren't looking at the screen. All right, well, this was kind of fun and entertaining. Okay, so here's the bottom line, folks. Bottom line. Student loan forgiveness is not a lie, but you're definitely going to earn your forgiveness. It's not going to be a cakewalk. You are going to have to do 10 years and possibly a little bit more. And the one important thing to remember, keep paperwork documenting as you go along every single solitary year. And that's what I did. Don't go waiting 4, 5, 7, 8 years and then find out, oh gee, it doesn't qualify. Every single year you turn in that income report, the W-2, you turn in the employer verification form. You get documentation every single year, and make sure you save that documentation and then you load it to your private cloud. So if the student loan company should just happen to lose it, hey, you never know. Okay, we just never ever know. All right, you save that documentation. And the other thing to remember is this: when you reach the end of your service, okay, let's just say finally you go, oh, yay, you know, I've hit my 120. You cannot leave that job until you have written verification from the federal government that your loan is cleared. Do not say, don't get paperwork that says, hey, you have two payments left. You're like, oh, great. So you go and you do your last 2 months, which ends your 2 payments, and then you immediately quit. And then you file all of your paperwork to get the loan forgiveness. Now, in a lot of the rules, at least what I am last aware of, okay, you still need to remain on the job. Now, during the waiver time, when there was that PSLF waiver for 1 year, from October 21 to October 2022, I know I'm a walking fountain of this, okay, guys? Been doing this with a long time, all right? It's almost embarrassing, okay? So during that particular waiver period, you were actually allowed to leave your job. Yeah, once you had your 120, you didn't have to wait for verification from the Department of Education that you had, that your student loan was clear. Once your paperwork showed 120, even if you had no written paperwork that said bye-bye, because these are 2 different pieces of paperwork you need to understand. You're going to get one piece of paperwork that says you've reached 120. You're going to get another piece of paperwork after that that could take anywhere from a few weeks to a few months. Mine took about, oh geez, maybe 2, okay, about 2. That then says you have a balance of 0. Until you get that letter that says you have a balance of 0, or you get a letter that says you are free to leave your public service job. Do not leave your public service job until you get a letter that says you owe 0. Because the way the program has been set up, okay, is that yes, you may hit 120. Yes, your paperwork may say you have 120. You've reached your 10 years, you've reached your 120 payments, okay? That's still not verification that the loan has been forgiven. So always remember, those are 2 different pieces of paper. One says you've reached 120. Another one will say you have a balance of 0. When you receive that letter that says you have a balance of 0, at that point, you are free then to leave your public service job. Otherwise, if you leave before you get that letter, even though you've hit your 120, they can require that you go back into a PSLF job before they'll forgive it for you. I know. So just imagine, oh, I've hit 120. My paperwork said I only had 2 months left. So you do those last 2 months. You put in your resignation because you're out of here. And then you get a letter that says part of the rule requirement is you need to be in a public service job at the time we take your balance to 0. Meanwhile, you've moved to, Chattanooga, and you're starting your life over. And you're like, oh, darn, you left your job too early. And then you have to go back into PSL. It's just a mess. So don't do it until that paperwork hits 0. All right. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. All right. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for seriously considering subscribing. I would love it if you would. And have a great day. Bye.